Good morning, dear students. We are going with the reading of the chapter Indigo by Louis Fisher, and today we need to start from over there. So, just have a recap. Yesterday, we read that Gandhi was in conflict of duties. Okay, the case was filed up against him, and the magistrate gave him 120 minutes to furnish his bail or to prove his favor. But Gandhi did not do anything and refused on the spot. And after some days, the case was dropped down, and Gandhi was allowed to remain at liberty. And after that, in this paragraph, it was told that the group was divided into four groups, a paper like a page, and the complete team was divided into four groups. If one team goes to jail, then other three teams they will be active and will do participate in their work likewise. Now start. Several days later, Gandhi received a written communication from the magistrate informing him that the lieutenant governor of the province had ordered the case to be dropped. After many days, the case in which Gandhi was summoned, so again he got an information from the magistrate that the case was to be dropped, means the case has to be handed up. Civil disobedience had triumphed. Triumph means to go to get victory. Okay, that was the civil obedience. Civil obedience means the group of the people, those who came to support Gandhi, especially the Tirhut location, and the magistrate and the viceroy, they discussed one point and they released Gandhi at liberty. Thereafter, the first time in modern India, very first time in 1999, a civil disobedience, the movement started by Gandhi, got over and it was in favor of India. Now, Gandhi and the lawyers now proceeded to conduct a far-flung inquiry into the grievances of the farmers. Now, next thing, Gandhi and the lawyers they organize a team to get all kind of problems and grievances or the doubts of the peasants, especially sharecroppers, deposition by 10,000 depositions by about 10,000 peasants were written down, means it was data collection and notes made on other evidence, and the evidence was created. Documents were collected. The whole area throbbed with the activity of the investigators, means the complete team of Gandhi, in which many great people were also involved, like Rajendra Prasad, Brij Kishore Babu, okay, and the vehement protest of the landlords. In June, Gandhi was summoned to Sir Edward Gate, the lieutenant governor. In the month of June, Gandhi got summoned from this particular person, like Edward Gate, the lieutenant governor. Before he went, he met leading associates and again laid detailed plans for civil disobedience if he should not return. So that someone was written about Gandhi, and if he should not return, then the detailed plan should be given to the leading associates, means all the people of the group. Gandhi had four protracted interviews with the lieutenant governor. Gandhi discussed this matter of civil disobedience with this lieutenant governor Edward Gate and some other dignitaries four times, who as a result appointed an official commission of inquiry into the indigo sharecroppers. As a result, Mr. Edward Gate appointed Gandhi as an official commission sorry, of peasants. The commission consisted of landlords, governors, and Gandhi as the sole representative of the peasants. Dear children, why Sir Edward Gate interviewed Gandhi 4 times? Because he wanted to sort out the problem, and we know it very well. It was not possible. It was not possible for the British government to deal with the situation with the heavy crowd of Tirhut who supported Gandhi blindly. So that's why three people were there. One was, there were three tables. You can say one table stands for landlord, second for British government, and third for Gandhi. It means there were three chairs, those who will be discussing sharecropping to be sorted out for Indian peasants. Okay, so as a leader, Gandhi came forward to help out the people. Now, Gandhi remained in Champaran for an initial uninterrupted period of 7 months. Approximately 7 months of his life he passed in Champaran, and then again for several shorter visits, and not only these 7 months but some occasional visits to Champaran. The visit, undertaken casually on the entreaty of an unlettered peasant in the expectation that it would last a few days, occupied almost a year of Gandhi's life. So, dear children, 7 continuously months he spent in Champaran, and after that some short visits or casual visits. So, including all these things, we can say approximately 1 year of his life Gandhi devoted to Champaran and its issue of sharecropping. Now, the official inquiry assembled in crushing mountain of evidence against the big planters, and when they saw this they agree in principle to make refund to the peasants. Okay, now inquiry was settled down, every kind of data was collected. So the official inquiry came to one conclusion. That what was the conclusion? They agreed in principle the heavy amount to make refund to the peasants, means to say uh, the British government was agreed to pay refund to the sharecroppers. But the question was, but how much must we pay? They asked Gandhi. Now the question is, how much? 10%, 20%, 50%, 80%, or 100%. But how much? That was the problem. Decision need to be taken. They thought he would demand repayment in full of the money. Full of the money means 100%, which they had illegally and deceitfully extorted from the sharecropper. They means the peasants. And peasants thought that they should be given 100% of their sharecropping. He asked only 50%, but Gandhi asked for 15%. There, he seemed adamant. Okay, he stayed on his point. Writes Revered J. Judge Hodge, a British missionary in Champaran who observed the entire episode at close range. Means this person, Revered J. George, writes about this thing who was the eyewitness of this episode. Thinking probably that he would not give way, the representative of the planters offered to refund to the extent of 25%. Dear children, what did farmers demand? 100%. What did Gandhi demand? 50%. And after all, what did British government agree to? That was 25%. And to the amazement, Mr. Gandhi took him at his word, and Mr. Gandhi agreed to 25%, thus breaking the deadlock. Deadlock refers to the ancient deal or traditional deal which was between British government and sharecroppers. So at last it was a breaking of the deadlock. Now the question arises, why did Gandhi agree to 25% of the settlement, not 50% or not 100%? Now this settlement was adopted unanimously by the Commission. Commission means three people: landlords, British government, Sir Edward Gate, and Gandhi. Gandhi explained the reason to the peasant. Then why did he agree 25%? See, the answer is there. The amount of the refund was less important, means money was less important than the issue that the landlord had been obliged to surrender part of the money. But at last, the landlords, they need to, or they had to surrender their money, and with it part of their prestige. Prestige means respect, honor. So Gandhi agreed to 25% by acclaiming that the percentage was less important than the landlord money and the prestige of landlords. Therefore, as far as the peasants were concerned, the planters had behaved as lord above the law. Now the peasants saw that he had rights and defenders. He learned courage. So by this lesson, all the people and even Gandhi, they also learned courage. Events justified Gandhi's position, means with this expedition and dealing of this particular sharecropping, it increases the position or the reputation of Gandhi. Within a few years, the British planters abandoned their estate. Abandoned means left without care, which reverted to the peasants, and lastly it was given to the concerned peasants. Indigo sharecropping disappeared, and by the end of this particular was first part of the chapter, the indigo disappeared permanently. Okay, dear students, so till here in this chapter we have discussion about indigo. Now we will have discussion about health, education, condition of female, personal hygiene, and lastly Edward Andrew Freer. Okay, now we are going to discuss. Gandhi never contented himself with large political or economic solutions. He saw the cultural and social backwardness in the Champaran villages and wanted to do something about it immediately. We know it very well that approximately 1 year of his life is spent in Champaran, so he came to know about each and every point of Champaran district. Okay, like economic background or social or political, all kind of. Then what did he do? He appealed for to do some teachers, Mahadev Desai and Narhari Parikh, two young men who had just joined Gandhi as disciples. So these were two disciples of Gandhi, Mahadev Desai and Narhari Parikh, and their wives, means total four. To these men and to their wives, total four, volunteered for work. Several more came from Bombay, Pune, and other distant parts of the land. Devdas, Gandhi's youngest son. Apart from these four, Devdas, Gandhi's youngest son, arrived from the ashram. Which ashram? Sevagram ashram. And so did Mrs. Gandhi. Mrs. Gandhi, who was Mrs. Gandhi? Kasturbai. Primary schools were opened in 6 villages. Okay, 6 villages primary school were opened. Kasturbai taught the ashram rules on personal cleanliness and community sanitation. So, apart from all these 6 or 5 people, Kasturbai means Mrs. Gandhi also went to village, okay, to teach them personal hygiene and community or social sanitation. Now, health condition. Health condition were miserable. Gandhi got a doctor to volunteer his service for 6 months. Gandhi hired a doctor in this Champaran district. Three medicines were available: castor oil, quinine, and sulfur ointment. Three were available. All kind of diseases they were treated from these three medicines. Like anybody who showed a clotted tongue was given a dose of castor oil. Okay. Anybody with malaria, if anybody has malaria fever, received quinine. Got it? Plus castor oil. And then anybody has skin eruption received ointment plus castor oil. If anybody has skin problem, then ointment and castor oil. So all these three medicines were used properly for any kind of disease in those days. Gandhi noticed the filthy state of women cloth, now the condition of women. He asked Kasturbai to talk to them about it. One woman took Kasturbai into her hut and said, "Look, there is no box or cupboard here for clothes. The sari I am wearing is the only one I have." See, in this particular paragraph, we came to know about the poor condition of female in these days. In those days, especially the women, they did not have even clothes to wear. Now, during his long stay in Champaran, Gandhi kept a long distance watch on the ashram. He sent regular instruction by mail. By mail means by post office, not email. And this is American word, my dear children. And asked for financial accounts. Once he wrote to the residents that it was time to fill in the old latrine ditches, you can say, and dig new ones. Otherwise, the old one would begin to smell bad. So while observing the or while managing the condition of Champaran, while staying at Champaran, with letters or with post office, Gandhi managed to deal with the situation of ashram also. Okay, and this is about personal hygiene, latrine trenches. Then the Champaran episode was a turning point in Gandhi's life because this was the episode by which Gandhi became famous and people came to know about who is Mahatma. When I did, he explained, was a very ordinary thing. He declared that British could not order me about in my own country. Do you remember in the chapter we have an incident in which somebody called him an outsider? So here Gandhi tells us that in his country nobody can call him an outsider. After that, but Champaran did not begin as an act of defiance. It grew out of an attempt to alleviate the distress of a large number of poor peasants. This was the typical Gandhi pattern. Means it was the typical Gandhi pattern. Gandhi had his own ways to deal with the situation or the people. His politics were intertwined with the practical day-to-day problem of the millions. His was not a loyalty to obsession, it was a loyalty to living human being. So what did he do? He did loyalty to the humanity. Now, in everything Gandhi did, moreover, he tried to mold a new free India who could stand on his own feet and thus make India free. So here what we got to know what was the objective of Gandhi. He wanted that every Indian should stand on his feet, should become confident, and make India free from Britishers. Now, the last part of this one, early in Champaran action, Charles Freer Andrews, the English pacifist. Pacifist means a person who spread out peace to the society, who had become a devoted follower of the Mahatma. He was disciple of Gandhi, came to bid Gandhi farewell before going on a tour of duty to the Fiji island. So he has come here to farewell Gandhi. Gandhi's lawyer friends thought it would be good idea for Andrew to stay in Champaran and help them. Who was it? Gandhi's lawyer, Rajendra Prasad and other people. Okay, so they wanted that Andrew should stay with them and to help them out. Andrew was willing if Gandhi agreed. So what did Andrew do? He told the people or the lawyer that if Gandhi agreed, if Gandhi permits, then he will stay with you. But Gandhi was vehemently opposed. But Gandhi did not agree. He said, "You think that in this unequal fight means there are the poor and British are the rich people. It would be helpful if we have an Englishman on our side. This shows the weakness of your heart. If you people," Gandhi said, "if you people will have Andrew with your side, then it will become your weakness. Okay, the cause is just and you must rely upon yourself to win the battle. That you have to be on toes to win your battle. Be confident. You should not seek a prop in Mr. Andrews because he happens to be an Englishman. Because he is an Englishman, so it would not be good for you. That's why Gandhi refused. Then he had read our minds correctly, Rajendra Prasad commented, and we had no reply. After listening such thing, they did not speak anything. Gandhi, in this way, taught us a lesson in self-reliance. Okay, last three words, dear children. Self-reliance, Indian independence, and help. Two sharecroppers were all bound together. These three words, self-reliance, Indian independence means freedom and help to each other. These are the three words which conclude the chapter, not only for sharecroppers but for every Indian in those days. Okay, so that's all, and after that I will be posting the PDF of the answers. Thank you. Have a good day.